Okay, so I'm live with Kosta Panagoulias. Did I say that right?
Perfect.
Okay, so I'm stealing Tom's bit with the last name here, but it's Greek, so there's extra pressure to get it right. And Kosta, you've been a Rockstar member for how long now?
It's got to be like, I don't know, 5 months,
okay,
maybe.
So you kind of stood out because you're doing this podcast where you have a ton of common guests that we've had on this show, ton of common topics. I think you just bought a rental property in St. Catharines, right?
Correct.
With your coach, Mark Greenidge.
Yeah.
And you're a software guy.
Yeah.
You have this software background. So I'm trying to figure out who you are. We've never really sat down and talked. We met at the VIP dinner last week, briefly, but yeah, we just want to figure out who you are, what you've up to, because you're doing some cool things.
Yeah.
So who is Kosta Panagoulias?
Yeah. Well, first of all, thanks for having me. This is really cool to be a guest on truly one of my favorite podcasts.
Oh, awesome.
I listen to this show all the time. So great to be here. Quick background on myself. So my name's Kosta Panagoulias. I am a father to 3 amazing, beautiful kids, husband to an amazing wife.
I like how you start with the family stuff. That's what actually really matters the most. So that's cool, man.
It's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, and professionally, I think the best way to describe me is, excuse me, I'm a serial entrepreneur. Most notably, about 12 years ago, founded a company with my partner called Web for Realty. We were providing web marketing applications to real estate agents across Canada and the US. So we were able to grow that company out of my parents' basement, just the 2 of us, into like 20 plus team members around the world, fully remote, bootstrapped, self-funded. And last year, we got acquired in a successful acquisition. And so now I'm just, working on.
What does a successful acquisition mean to you?
Good question. I think it can mean different things to different people. To me, oh man, that's a good one. A successful acquisition to me is kind of just being able to, walk away from something tangible. Obviously, in this case, money, a lot of experience,
okay,
and kind of a blank slate. Like that was the most exciting thing for me. Is just
so you could wipe your hands clean, and you were no longer involved in that company's operations.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Web for Realty. So how old are you now, Kosta?
35.
Okay, so quite a young, strapping lad still. So you started this 12 years ago. So you were 23.
That's when we launched, but we started developing a little sooner. Like I remember I was still in university, in my last year university when we got started on it. But yeah, we officially launched 2011.
Okay, 2011. And how did you get into this? Like, how do you bootstrap this company? Why realtors?
Yeah.
Where does it start?
So I'll give you the story. So my partner at the time, we were 2 young, hungry kids, right? We would literally meet up every Friday night at my parents' house, order a pizza, and think about ways to make $1 million. Like literally every kid's dream, right? So at that time, my partner, he got his real estate license and he was helping this broker in the area with her website and her marketing stuff. And one of these Friday meets, it just came up. He was just describing how he's helping her with this website. It's like old, outdated, expensive. And we're just like, and she's paying like $100 a month or something. And we're just like, oh, why don't we do this for $20 a month? And, that was kind of like.
Did you have a tech background?
No, not at all.
Nothing.
That was just sort of like our aha moment where it's like, yes, this is our idea. Like it just, for some reason or another, just clicked.
What was costing $100 a month? Like the hosting?
Yeah, like the CMS website management system.
And how'd you know you could do it for $20?
We didn't. It was just like,
we'll just
grabbed a piece of paper, plugged in some numbers, 20 times 1,000. And, you're just like, oh shit, like we can make this much money. Yeah. So it just started from that.
Okay. So how do you build it? Like,
so again, we were both non-technical people. Like I still don't write a line of code. We didn't know what we were getting into, to be quite frank. like I didn't even know what a CRM was. Like I didn't even know what SAAS was. You know, it was like very fresh to us. So I spent the next like.
Can you explain those two terms for anyone?
So yeah, CRM is a content relationship management system. Like every business has a CRM, which is like you manage contacts. And a SaaS, it's a software as a service. It's just a segment of an industry.
What does that mean exactly? Software as a service?
It's just a type of software business. Usually SaaS companies are like subscription models where you're providing a software for a subscription.
Okay, like DocuSign maybe.
Yeah, that's a SaaS. Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah. So yeah, I was spending the next like a good like 3 months calling competing companies, pretending to be a realtor and just like asking questions. Like literally, it's like, how do you guys do this? Like, how do you handle support? Like
Inside
craziest questions. And like, I was shocked at how freely these people would give me the answers.
Yeah.
So, and I still have the notebook. I have like dozens of pages of notes and just like learning about the business, like as we were building it.
Were you guys working at this point?
I was still in school at the time.
Did you guys ever get full-time jobs, or did you do this?
My partner at the time did have a full-time job. I've never had a full-time job in my life. Yeah. So I did this straight out of school.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's cool. And also like kind of weird because you can't relate to maybe 95% of people that way.
It's true.
But very cool entrepreneurial story for sure.
Yeah, so that's how it started. Just two naive young kids just doing something. I'm really glad we landed on this software space because I truly can't imagine a better, cleaner business. But it could have been anything.
So why is that? Why do you like software as a service? Because this is your thing now. You help other people with SaaS companies. So what do you like about this industry?
It's just like it's a very clean business, right? Like it's, you can do it remotely. You don't have the physical interaction. Some people like that. Like, I like being a little bit more hands off.
Are you more introverted?
Definitely.
So this would appeal to you.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Just like the overall business, it has just looking at, friends of mine who are like in construction and in other businesses that are just way more hands on and just the issues they deal with. Not to say you don't have issues in software, but it's just different. It's just like a cleaner business.
What would the issues be? Bug fixes?
Yeah, bug fixes, dealing with, every business has their customer support issues, but, if
more the technology side that's giving you problems?
Pretty much, yeah. You have your dealing with people, like you have employees and team members and dealing with different personalities, which is common in any business, but yeah, you get paid recurring revenue.
So you can forecast like, okay, this year, this is what's coming in based on what we got.
Much easier to manage cash flow.
How volatile is it? Like, would a bunch of subscriptions drop off at any point and you're like, holy shit, let's turn up the marketing, or how do we get people back?
That's probably the most common problem in SaaS is like the churn rate. People like retention, right?
What's a common churn rate?
Common churn rate for a SaaS company is, it could vary depending on who your customer is. Like in our case, like our churn rate was pretty good. Like the benchmark churn rate in SaaS, I'd say is around like 5% per month.
Okay.
5% of users dropping a month.
Okay. So if you want to grow this thing, you got to bring in like 6-7% of the existing user base next month to keep growing.
There's always a leaking, it's like a bucket that's constantly leaking. Yeah. You always have to.
It's the broken drain that you got to keep filling it up.
Yeah.
Okay. So how do you scale this thing? Like you found your thing, it's working, people start hiring you, and how do you grow it? Where do you learn your marketing? Like you didn't have any full-time job, no marketing experience, no software experience.
So when we first got it ready to a point where it's like, okay, we're ready to sell this thing, and our customers are real estate agents. I single-handedly closed the first 500 paying clients just through cold calling and email marketing.
Just calling real estate agents?
Yeah, literally like scraping leads online, getting a list, and like picking up the phone and calling.
Good for you, man. Yeah. And what were you doing for your email marketing?
Keep in mind, like this was when like I didn't know what I was doing, right? Like I literally started off with an Excel sheet. Like the email marketing was just Gmail, like manual emails. And then like as I was going through this, like I discovered certain apps and like email marketing tools that can automate a lot of things. But that first few hundred was just like raw and gritty, pick up the phone, like no structure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's how everyone gets started. I don't think anybody knows what they're doing.
Yeah.
You just kind of figure it out as you go.
And then you just kind of, it just evolves naturally. You learn more. You start utilizing tools that make your job more efficient.
Okay. So you grew this thing. You had some momentum. So why'd you sell it? And did you have the intention of selling it from the get-go?
Why did we sell it? I mean, a lot of different reasons. I think, doing it for 12 years, just like lost a bit of the passion, like had some burnout in this particular business. So, my partner and I, we just kind of, just decided it was time to just do something different. Our lives were changing. Like, I have kids, and, he was starting a family as well. So
did you want to spend more time with your family?
Priorities and interests were changing, and it was just, a good time for both of us.
Like, how many websites can I build for real estate agents?
Yeah.
You got to that point?
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay. So I had a friend that actually did the exact same thing. It might still be doing it. And he was just so sick of it. After like 2-3 years, he's like, I can't build another real estate agent website. And I was like, fair enough. And he was doing great, really well, like successful. Yeah. Like probably looked very much like the early stages of what your company might have been.
Yeah, it was very saturated business. Like, we definitely weren't the only ones doing it.
Well, you picked a good client base because Ontario, I was looking at the stats last week, has, I think, the highest percentage of realtors per capita
for sure
in the world.
Yeah.
I think in North America it was for sure. And then it was of the labor force. So these are just people, active workers or can work, I think in Toronto, I think it was one of every 68 or maybe it was 72 workers also have their real estate license.
Yeah.
Now, most of those real estate agents don't ever actually do a deal, like 80% of them, but that's a huge client base of budding entrepreneurs. If you were going to be building websites for entrepreneurs, I mean,
yeah, it's a
good pick there.
It's a sweet pick, I think. I remember when I was starting out, the number of real estate agents in like the GTA area was 40,000. Now I think it's like 70,000.
Yeah, I think it was
70,000
70,000 or 80,000 in the Toronto Real Estate Board alone.
Yeah.
Right. So you got to kind of sort through the cream through the pile to get to the cream of the crop there. But okay. So you sold this thing. So what does that look like? How do you sell a business?
How do you sell a business? So, I mean, so just to backtrack a bit, I released a video content series called hardknocksaas.com, which kind of like documents my entire journey. And I talk about the exit process there. And the reason I'm saying this is because I'm the type of person who I've always been a writer. Like I enjoy writing just so like it helps articulate my thoughts, and I'm able just to communicate better writing as opposed to verbal. So as we were growing the business, I was like literally documenting all like the strategies and insights we were using to help us grow. And I remember the last chapter in this it was a Google Docs, like 100 pages, and like the last page of it was called The Exit, and this was like a few years ago. So like I'm saying this because I guess I always knew there would be some sort of exit.
So you had that written down, but you didn't know what it looked like. Yeah,
and I totally forgot about it. After the sale, like during the sale was going on, like I went back and I was like, oh shit, like it actually says The Exit. It's like last edited. Like
it's cool. You're writing your own story.
Yeah. So as that was happening, I was like, hey, I got to like fill this in now, and I decided to just like package it all into like video content. But how do you sell? I mean, there's so much to, where do I start? I think if you know you want to sell, especially in the SaaS business, like this is a very attractive business model for investors. So you have a lot of, once you gain traction in this model, you get a lot of private equity firms and just private investors, like just cold reaching out to you.
Now, is this more attractive to investors because software as a service, it's almost a more like there's no personality almost behind the business, like it's just this entity that's running, and once you have the systems in place and you can step back and it's like Kosta doesn't need to be there.
Exactly. It's just a very attractive model for investors because that recurring revenue, if it's a solid business, then like when we sold, like none of our customers knew we walked away. Like it was just
like DocuSign. Like I don't know who runs DocuSign.
Exactly.
I just know it's really useful for filling out leases and sending them to people.
Yeah. So if you're an investor and you have experience in the space, like you can very easily like purchase one of these companies, like, you know, strip it down, do what you got to do, make it more efficient, and just keep it going.
Okay.
Right. So it's just a very attractive model.
Yeah, clean as you put it
for investors.
Earlier.
Yeah. So with that being said, like we'd have a lot of private equity firms like constantly reaching out to us, and at the time, like we had no intention of selling, but I would always like entertain these conversations just to like learn and see like, you know, what's attractive to them.
What's your offer?
Yeah, like learn about it, right?
Everyone's got a price.
Exactly. So over the years, like I literally built up like a Rolodex of like investors and
smart,
right? So because I instinctively inside, like I always knew this would happen at one point. So I guess it was smart to just build up this Rolodex from early. So once we decided to go down this path, like I would literally just go through the list of investors, and but what ended up happening was a business, another competing company in the market purchased us. Was more of like a strategic acquisition rather than a PE firm buying us.
Okay.
So yeah, it just aligned up at the right time. We got introduced with the CEO of this company, and it just worked out.
Okay. So what was the next step? Did you go party? Were you celebrating? Did you have something else in mind? Was it just chill out for a few months, go from there?
It was very anticlimactic, to be honest. Like, you know, that when the closing day happened, you know, you think like you're gonna have all this excitement, but it was just like literally nothing changed in my life, like at all. Like live in the same house, wear the same clothes, eat the same food, pay the same bills. Like, yeah, you have a little bit more money in your bank account, which is nice, but like literally nothing in my life has changed. The most exciting part for me was just having a blank slate. Just like walking away, having truly a blank slate and just deciding what to do next.
Okay.
That was very exciting to me.
Now that money in the bank, did you know about inflation and stuff?
Oh yeah.
Because I know that's something you're passionate about learning about and speaking about now with your podcast.
Oh yeah.
So you knew, okay, I've got this big melting ice cube in my bank account.
Yeah, it was very nerve wracking.
Okay. And when did you sell the company? How long ago?
Almost a year ago.
Okay, so this explains real estate.
Yeah.
Now we enter into real estate.
Yeah.
Okay, so you had this melting ice cube, and that led you down to the journey of Bitcoin, real estate, and I believe infinite banking is another thing you're learning about.
Like Bitcoin, I've been into way before this.
Okay.
I got into Bitcoin like about 2016 or 17. But yeah, like I just knew that like I had to do something with this money, right? You can't just let it sit in the account. So yeah, that's why, you know, I've been listening to this podcast for a while, and you guys provide a lot of amazing content. So became a member because I knew I wanted to.
How'd you find out about the podcast? And was that your first entry point to Rockstar?
Yeah, like I know I've been listening to this podcast for way before I was a member. I don't know how I came across it.
Was it just like local Canadian?
I guess, yeah.
Investing, entrepreneurship.
Like I guess being in the real estate space for so long, like you kind of...
It just attracted you.
It just attracted me. But yeah, became a member of Rockstar, and because I knew I wanted to start getting into real estate as this hedge against inflation.
Was that your main motivation? It was the hedge against inflation, or were you looking for alternative income streams, businesses?
Both. I think it like real estate satisfies all those things you just said.
Yeah, that's the thing I love about it. It's like, I mean, the SAAS model actually sounds pretty good too, like very clean and sellable and stuff. But like a lot of businesses aren't sellable. But with real estate, you have this hard asset component where it really benefits inflationary periods. You have an income stream, and it's very easily sellable.
Yeah.
You know, especially when you're looking at single family homes.
Yeah, I agree.
Or these little duplex, triplexes, like very liquid compared to another business. Not liquid compared to a stock or crypto, which you can sell with the snap of your fingers. Yeah. But liquid compared to a company you spent 10 years building that nobody might not want to buy for whatever reason.
Exactly. Yeah. So, yeah, and I've always been into real estate. Like I always knew I wanted to get into it. So, now was the good time to do it. Okay.
So, how do you feel about real estate? Because I look at you as a software guy, which is, I'm surprised you had no background in it before, but it's cool because now I would consider you're like a SaaS guy, right? That's your thing, Hard Knock SaaS. You help other.
I mean, it's my background, right? Like like when I describe myself professionally, it's like I'm an entrepreneur. Like I'll yeah.
So you don't identify necessarily with
not necessarily. That just happened to be the thing I was into, that I have a lot of experience in it. I'm actually launching a new SaaS company this summer. So that's what I know, but like I'm an entrepreneur. I can.
So brick and mortar business, like real estate, doesn't really phase you. What about dealing with tenants? Because I know you were like, my contractor friends, they got to deal with all this stuff. So now you got to deal with tenants, you got to deal with contractors, you got to deal with all this stuff now.
I have some experience. I did renovation in my house. So, I've been around contractors my entire life. Like I'm the only male in my family that's not in construction. So, I have a
breaking the Greek model.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I'm actually dealing with all tenant process right now and screening and finding tenants. And there's a lot of similarities to how I do hiring in my company.
That filtering process. Have you found a tenant yet?
Not yet. I'm very close.
Okay. Did you watch the class that I sent you? Yeah.
Amazing.
Okay. Oh, cool. Thanks, Ben. Yeah. So you're finding those tools useful, like single key and Verifast. You're using.
Yeah, I've already used both of those.
Okay. Yeah. Speaking of software as a service, I love those two programs. So one single key for anyone wondering, which is tenant background and credit check reports. Yeah. The other is Verifast, which can be a bit more confusing to use, both for tenants applying and for you as the landlord verifying. But once you get the hang of it, I love it. And that one actually pulls bank account info from tenants and shows overall financial profile. Yeah. Now, if someone doesn't want to fill out a Verifast, I'm like, I need to see like bank statement. I need to see the full picture, because I've been spoiled, because like now seeing payroll deposits, pet store transactions, insufficient funds, all these things. I'm like, okay, I don't trust just the pay stubs now. I need to see this.
Yeah, I mean, I was amazed at what came out of that report. You're right. It was a little confusing to set up, but when I got that first report back, I was like, holy crap, like this is
good.
If someone doesn't fill that out, I wouldn't even.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So where did you buy your property?
St. Catharines.
What type of property is it?
Single family duplex. It was a legal duplex, like very turnkey. It was just renovated, and yeah.
Okay. Now, so you've got the rental property. Where do you see yourself going with real estate? And then we'll get into SaaS and the other stuff too that you're doing. Yeah,
like real estate, I see myself like every year, ideally, I'd want to buy like a new property.
Yeah.
I just want to like keep it going.
Add to the collection. Yeah.
Like
and it's a nice sustainable way, like one a year. Like that's what that's looking back, that's kind of the pace I'm on.
Yeah.
And I mean, of course, if I could be buying 2 a year, I probably would be, but it is nice and sustainable, because it's like, I've grown fast enough where I'm still like, I need to go back and like fix some things or get my systems better, just organization and filing and bookkeeping. Like there's stuff I need to go back and kind of get a handle on. So I actually don't mind the pace that I'm on right now. Yeah. So I think one a year is just it's still ambitious, but it's sustainable.
I think so too. I just think real estate is I hate to say the word like an easy investment, but for most people who are not like financially literate with like stocks and like mutual funds and all this, I feel like real estate is something that makes sense to a lot of people. Which is most people. Like, yeah, I mean, it's simple, but it's not easy. Is, I think, a good way of describing it. Yeah. That's why I didn't want to use the word simple, but yeah, and just like where we are in the GTA, I think a lot of like macro circumstances, like just, favor real estate as well over the long term. I think it's it's a relatively safe way to park your money and make sure it doesn't get eaten away by inflation. Like a cash flow if you find the right deal. So like, it checks all the boxes for me. Yeah. Okay. So you've got, you're starting another business. You've got real estate, which is a new journey you're venturing down and planning on continuing. How are you integrating Bitcoin into your life? Because you've got this podcast, Founder Views. Yeah. And I want to ask you more about it, but a lot of the topics you're talking about is Bitcoin, infinite banking, real estate investing, I think specifically short-term rentals. Yeah. So why are you learning about these things? How are you integrating these 3-4 different things into your life? Yeah. So the podcast really is just me. It's my educational source. Like I have it to learn. I want to speak to people about topics that I'm thinking about myself. So like, as you said, like right now I'm just like, thinking a lot about like Bitcoin and real estate. So I want to have other people, experts in these in these segments and just speak to them and learn from them.
Yeah. So and having a podcast with an audience incentivizes them to come on the show. It's a genius way to network.
To be honest, like I don't really care about like the clicks or the views. Like I think it's great information for people that want to listen to it. But if not, like it's really selfishly for me. Yeah. Like, that's why I do it. But how do I integrate these into my life? I mean, Bitcoin, I just see as this, you know, where to start with Bitcoin, man. That's a huge rabbit hole. I feel like how I view Bitcoin today is very different than how I viewed it like a year ago or 2 years ago or 3 years ago. It's just constantly evolving the deeper you get into it.
So why Bitcoin? Why today? What's your view today?
I see Bitcoin as it's really, for me, the biggest thing with Bitcoin is the you know, the sovereign individual. I just see that book. It's just like it represents sovereignty, freedom, individualism, and just it's the only asset in the world that literally no one can confiscate, seize from you. Like it's, you know, it's literally stored with 12 or 24 words in your head. Like you literally can't say that with any form of asset in the world. And just seeing what's happening in the world, specifically in Canada, right, with like the protests, was it like a year and a half ago, bank accounts getting seized. So, you know, we can see how easy it is for that to happen, not only in Canada, but in different parts of the world.
Yeah, and Canada is still just, I mean, compared to other countries in the world, like a safe haven, even financially speaking, compared to, you know, like Lebanon, Argentina, Turkey, all these places going through hyperinflation and corruption. But not saying Canada's perfect, but yeah, I mean, when you look at the rest of the world, you see the importance of having this type of asset.
Yeah. Yeah. And you can see how I feel like in this part of the world, Canada, the US, the Western world, like you growing up, you never really thought about freedom, right? It was just this thing that you just have. But like, I feel like over the past few years, like for anyone paying attention, like you can kind of see how freedom can be taken away from you. Mm-hmm. Right. And I think like Bitcoin represents freedom. Like that's how I see it now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. It's very, it's not easy to explain, right? It's not just this computer code asset to like get rich quick. It's like goes a lot deeper than that because it really challenges the status quo and current financial system and really does offer hypothetically this level of freedom. Right. Now, infinite banking, you've been learning a lot about this concept. What have you learned about it and why do you like it? What do you maybe not like about it? What are your thoughts around it?
Yeah, that's, I stumbled on this topic, I don't know, about a year ago, I'd say. And just digging into it, like I see a lot of positive to it. It kind of satisfies the whole, like controlling your assets in a way. So I like the idea of your assets being, or your fiat dollars in this case, being safe with insurance companies who don't operate like banks in like fractional reserve setting. Historically, if these, so it's a whole life policy, right? That's what infinite banking
participating,
is.
Mutually owned whole life policy that you're putting your money into.
Yeah. So I like it for two or three main things. So one, it's a way to, it's a place to put your money that historically has grown, right? The average, I think, over the last 100 something years has been like 5 or 6%. Obviously that could change, but you know, historically it's been solid. But I like the fact that you can leverage it and like utilize it for like, so let's say you have $100,000 in a whole life policy. That's your cash value. You can leverage up to 90% of that. So let's say I want to leverage 90,000. That initial 100,000 is still growing at 100,000. You're just utilizing that 90 and like, you know, to buying real estate with it or buying an asset with it that's growing, and just having the control to pay that back on your own terms. And like instead of like,
because it's a loan from yourself and it's an unstructured loan. You can pay it back when you want, how you want.
Unlike a line of credit or a HELOC where like you have to pay it back every day on this day of the month. With the leveraged loan from your policy, like you can pay it back whenever you want.
Mm-hmm. Is this something you've done for yourself then? Have you put a policy into place? Have you leveraged it yet?
I'm about to.
Are you?
soon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And are you doing that through the insurance company, or are you collateralizing at a bank?
Through the insurance company.
Through the insurance company. Yeah. Okay. And then can I ask like what your plan is with that? Just because a lot of people want to know about the concept, but then, you know, how do you actually implement it?
To purchase real estate with it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. So you've capitalized it enough that you're going to pull out a down payment?
Yeah.
Okay. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Nick's dancing in the background trying to mess with me.
Yeah. But I think what's important with this kind of policy or this like infinite banking concept is I can see a lot of people like getting into it for kind of the wrong reasons and just like, you know, thinking like you can take out money and just like buying like something depreciating, like I don't know, like whatever, like furniture or a car or like whatever, right? So if you're utilizing it in, I think, like good, positive ways, I think it's
so if you're investing with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I feel like cash flow almost has to be a component of that to cover the interest rate that you're paying on the money you're borrowing from the policy. So if you can,
but even if you like do actually the calculation, so the policy grows compounded, right, every year, whereas the loan interest rate is a simple interest rate. So it's not nearly as much. Like over the long term, the compounded rate, you're going to end up making more money than what you pay back because of the simple interest rate.
Yeah. So you're growing your money at a compounded rate. So your 100,000 is 106,000, then it's 100 and whatever 6% on 106,000 is. It's growing that way. But now simple interest on the loan, let's say you loan 90,000, like you were talking about the 90 up to 90% of that 100. Now you're paying that 90 back with just let's say it's 6% interest rate on the 90,000. So
even if the interest rates are the same, the compounded one will always win.
Okay. So now it's not compounding the loan that you take out?
No, it's simple interest rate.
Simple interest. Yeah.
Like it adds to it like at the year on the term.
Now that loan would also be tax deductible if using it for an investment purpose as well.
Yeah.
So there's some little tricks and
so when you actually like do the calculations, like it makes sense.
Yeah.
But it's very important to like pay it back, right?
Yeah. So that's another thing. You have to pay the loan back, and these guys will tell you, like the people into infinite banking will tell you, you know, you pay the loan back. Like it's not just this thing you can borrow from. In retirement, I think there's other retirement strategies you can use where you borrow against it, and then when you eventually die, the death benefit covers all the loans you've taken out.
Yeah. A lot of people like older in their life use it for retirement money. So like you can take money out of your policy and just like use it as your retirement income and never pay it back. Because it just gets deducted from the death benefit.
So how have you set this up in your own life? This whole life policy. Did you just open up a policy and like just throw as much money into it as possible to get the money out?
That was the back to like the melting ice cube. So this was one of the ways where I wanted to deploy some money into.
Okay. Just some, like, how are you thinking about it? Like, okay, I want to funnel all my money through this thing, like a majority of it of income or cash flow or savings in my life.
Well, in Canada, like the way these, like I'm not an expert, right? Like this is not.
Man. Like, I'm not, me neither, man.
So you can't put in all your savings into it. Like there's certain limits, like based on your income and your age and all this stuff. So like there's limits as to like how your policy is structured and how much you can funnel into it. Honestly, if I was able to, I'd put in like nearly all of it. To be honest, instead of it sitting in a bank account, like have it sit there while it's growing, but you can still like utilize it. So, but yeah.
Okay. Interesting, man. Yeah. Cause I saw your podcast and I just wanted to know how you were, I know you're learning about it, but I wanted to know how you're actually implementing these things. Yeah. And now Bitcoin, are you still buying Bitcoin? How are you thinking about that?
I've never sold any Bitcoin. So yeah.
Still stacking set. Okay. Enough said. So your SaaS company, what are you thinking now? Like what's next for Kosta?
So in the process of launching a new company called Job Table. So it's a SaaS company, but for small construction companies and independent contractors. So it's going to help them like literally save like 10 to 20 hours a week on admin work. So it allows them to send out quotations, invoicing, just managing their jobs faster and better, like through their device on their phone. So, and I'm doing it with two like really good friends of mine who actually own a successful plumbing company. So it's been very nice building a product like for them, but like, you know, putting it out. So it's.
Yeah. So how did you see this opportunity? And was it just talking to your friend?
Yeah, it was very random. So I'm a part of this like Facebook SAAS groups, and someone posted that they're selling this construction app that they built. Just with my, not background, but like family and construction, I've always been around construction. Like this just appealed to me for some reason. So I reached out to this person to kind of buy this app. So we were going through the process. So we ended up not buying the app, but just building it from scratch. We just bought the name because I like the name Job Table. Mm-hmm. So we just ended up building it from scratch. But it just started from that like Facebook post, and this was in my like blank slate phase after we sold. So I was like exploring kind of like in shark mode, and this just came up, and that just happened to be the next project.
Yeah. So I think a lot of people think about like the vision of building a company, selling it, getting this big payday. You got all this money in the bank. Like that's like you made it, right? Like that's the retirement dream, retired at 35. How were you feeling about it? Were you like, okay, what's next? I need something to do.
Yeah. Honestly,
did it improve your lifestyle? Like now you don't have this thing you got to work on every day. You're in shark mode, as like just doing what you want with your time.
What's very interesting, there was like periods where I'd get like these like bit of anxiety, right? Because you're just like, shit, like, I have this, like I just sold my company, don't have an income anymore. It's like, what do I do? Like your mind just racing. But like when you take a step back and you realize, okay, like I can like chill, like I don't have to have these feelings of anxiety and worry. But I think it's just like who I am as a person. Like I just have a lot of drive and just the thought of like not having an income right now. Like it affected me in a lot of ways, but yeah, so that was an interesting kind of.
I'd be looking at that lump sum and be like, okay, what are my living expenses? How long would this last me? Not like I would actually want to live on it, but like I'd start feeling anxious. I'd be like, okay, I know I got to do something with this, and now that lump sum's there. It's a little bit there to protect me, but like I need some income.
Yeah, exactly. So that's I'm saying this because that's a feeling that I didn't really expect to have, but I did. But yeah, I mean, like I said, it's kind of anticlimactic, right? Like there's not much.
It is what it is.
Change, yeah.
But it's cool. Like it's not easy building a company. Like you're very casual and low key about it, but it's not easy doing what you did. It's not easy going to be doing what you're doing now. Yeah. I mean, maybe your Greek family's finally proud of you because it's construction, right?
Yeah. No,
it all comes full circle.
Yeah, exactly. No, it's not easy at all. But
I'm just joking. I'm sure they're proud of you.
No, for sure. But yeah, no.
So nothing like this exists? You just saw the opportunity for this construction app?
No, this is very similar to my previous company, like a very saturated.
Okay, market. Yeah, you would like think someone would
revolutionary,
think of this.
But like to me, that's one of my business philosophies. Like I'll only go into a business that's very competitive.
Why?
For a couple of different reasons. Like one, like you can kind of now skip the whole like market validation, product market fit, because you can already see there's already companies doing it, making money. There's customers for it. So if you can come in, like find your niche, find your pocket, a small slice of a big pie is a very good business. And to me, those are the easiest businesses to sell into as well. So yeah, just like easier.
So you're looking at your competition and being like, okay, that's great, this is great, this is great, but this is missing.
Yeah, like maybe a segment of the market is missing, like something. You got to have like a little differentiating factor, and then it's like, I don't know, it's just easier to sell. It's a very similar model to Web for Realty. Very saturated. We just like found our pocket, found our niche.
So you're still looking for a niche. It's, I guess one way of doing it is like better marketing. Is that something you're focused on, like just marketing better? Or is it like, no, finding the niche that's actually not addressed and then marketing towards that niche?
I think finding the niche is very important. I think finding, like being as granular on the segment as you possibly can just makes the marketing a lot easier. It makes the content and the copy and the communication a lot easier.
Yeah.
So yeah, finding that niche I think is very important, and then just makes everything else easier.
Okay. So when you're looking at these other companies, you're just like, what are they not doing that I could be doing?
Yeah, in a lot of ways, yeah. And like it depends on what your intentions are too, right? A lot of people listening to this and be like, hey, I would never go into a competing business. But for me, like I'm good making, like you probably will not build like a unicorn billion-dollar company doing this, which to me, like I don't care to, but like, yeah, you can probably make very easily like a $5 to $10 million company. And like, to me, in the software model, the margins on that are amazing. I can live a very good lifestyle, have a very good income. And so if your intentions are that, then it's a beautiful thing.
So I was thinking about this the other day, that like with service-based businesses, you really don't need to reinvent the wheel. Like when I was younger, I always wanted to start a business, and I'd be like, oh, what could I invent? And I was thinking like product businesses, like what could I, like everything's already been invented. Like what else is there, right? And I think all these shows like Dragon's Den and Shark Tank kind of promote this idea of like coming up with a new mousetrap or inventing this product and maybe getting a patent, selling it. But I was thinking about this the other day, and like with service-based businesses, like the service is already out there and it's needed. And there's a ton of people already providing that service that could be improved, that aren't doing it as well as it could be done. And you can just enter any service-based market, whether it's software as a service, whether it's any service, plumbing, finding tenants for properties, property management, being a real estate agent, like name the service, you can go in and just do a better job or market towards a specific niche. Yeah. Like you really don't need to invent this product to become an entrepreneur. Yeah. Just find a service-based business that for whatever reason you're attracted to and do a better job than anyone, whether it's painting houses, plumbing, cleaning toilets.
Exactly. And that's how I thought too at first. I remember when I was younger, in these Friday meetings with my partner, like, I remember I had the same thoughts. Like there's an idea, you Google it, it's like, oh, this already exists.
It's like 2022, okay, everything's been invented.
Now already. It's like if something, if I have an idea, let's just say, and it doesn't exist, I can't find competitors out there. To me, that's a big red flag. Personally, because it's like, why is there not a market for this? Did someone try this already? It's more risky. It's riskier at that point, because like you're entering something where you have to now find the product market fit and actually validate the idea. So there's a lot more involved to doing something that doesn't exist. Yeah. Right.
Yeah, no, it's smart. You're helping other people now build their SaaS businesses and other entrepreneurs. Right, with consulting.
I do a lot of mentoring. So, I dedicate a few hours a week and just like do free mentoring. It's through a platform called growthmentor.com. This platform basically connects like entrepreneurs or founders or anyone really that wants to connect with like experts or people in any subject, whether you're like a marketing expert or an entrepreneur, a bootstrap.
So if I want to learn about marketing, I go on this platform, I can get connected to a mentor that helps with marketing. Yeah. This is a free service?
You pay to be a member on the platform, but then you have access to all these experts and mentors for free.
So why do you do it? What's the benefit?
I just get a lot of, I enjoy it, truly. Like I enjoy speaking to people. I enjoy sharing my insights and experiences. I feel it'd be a shame for anyone to kind of like bottle in any experiences and insights that they have when they can just like share it and help someone. Like, I don't know, I get a lot of gratification doing that and just like helping an aspiring entrepreneur and like to get motivated. So I just enjoy it. And at the same time, I learn from them as well. Like it kind of like, it's kind of nostalgic in a way. It puts you back into that like startup mode, gives you like a boost of energy as well. Speaking to someone like so hungry, starting something new. So it lights that fire as well. I just enjoy it.
That's really cool, man. So it's growthmentor.com if people are interested in checking that out. And how much is it a month?
I'm not sure, to be honest. I haven't checked the pricing in a while. I want to say like, I don't know, $70 a month, something like that. I'm guessing. I don't know.
Okay. And mainly for entrepreneurs or other types of skill sets?
It could be any type of skill sets.
Like photography or?
It's more like tech focused.
Okay.
Yeah. It's more tech focused.
Okay. So whether you're a
marketer, coding, SEO, marketing, just entrepreneurship in general, bootstrapping, finance, you'll find an expert for anything.
Oh, wow. That's cool, man. Now with your podcast, you've started this podcast, but you're getting some awesome guests on there. So how are you reaching out to these people? Just, hey, come on my podcast.
Yeah, very random. Like, I could be on Twitter and just like stumble on someone interesting and just like send them a message.
And you find people are receptive to that?
Most of the time, yeah.
Yeah. I found the same thing. Kind of trying to, get guests on the show and interview people. It's less maybe intimidating than someone might think to start your own podcast.
It is, yeah. I think podcasts are great. We had a podcast for Web for Realty as well, where I was interviewing like top real estate agents in the US and Canada. people like to talk about themselves and share their stories, and I think it's pretty easy to get guests.
Yeah. Okay. Your story is pretty cool, man. Are there any key business lessons you want to leave people with from talking to all these people, from your own experience? Do you have 3 core lessons or 3 principles you always teach everyone? Like, what do you have anything like that you can share?
2 things. So one, I've spoken to hundreds, like literally several hundreds of entrepreneurs and new founders starting businesses. And the first thing is, most people, they like to get ready, they like to aim, and then they fire. So what does that mean? So they like to get ready. So you have this idea, you have this business concept, you're getting ready for it. Next is aim. So like you're analyzing, you're putting together the business plan, like what's your strategy and all this stuff. And then once you have that done, then you fire, then you launch. To me, I like to reverse that. I like to get ready. So I have the idea, I'm firing. So like I'm not overanalyzing, I'm not overthinking. And that's the biggest problem I think a lot of new entrepreneurs have, is like their biggest hurdle is in their own head. In a way, it's like they're almost trying to find excuses for themselves, like not to do that thing. So like just too much overanalyzing. So the lesson philosophy that I kind of live by is like ready, fire, put it out there, and just like figure it out as you're firing.
Mm-hmm. That happens with real estate investing all
with
the time,
anything,
too. Truly.
It's just like that. Yeah. I think the best way to learn is by doing. Mm-hmm. So that's one thing. And then another mindset philosophy that I kind of live by is no plan Bs. So once I decide that, okay, I'm going to start this thing, or I'm going to do this thing, like failure is not an option. Like there's no plan Bs. Like that's not a thing. Like a plan B is a plan for failure. Like once you instill like a tiny grain of doubt in your head, like your chances of failing, I think, exponentially increase, because like you literally are planning for this failure to happen. So just like, that strong mindset, like no plan Bs. Like
have you ever started something where you just realize you're like, it's not about me quitting, but it's about like, this thing isn't going anywhere? Cut my losses and move on to the next thing?
Honestly, no. I'm pretty selective on like for me to like really decide like, hey, like I'm truly like dedicating and like doing this. No, I've never backtracked.
Yeah. I like the no plan B.
Yeah.
It's true. Once you plant that little seed of doubt, it starts growing.
I think so. Yeah.
And you gotta be all in, I think, to get the momentum to really succeed in any new endeavor.
Yeah. And that kind of relates to the whole like business philosophy, where like going into competing businesses. So to have this mindset, it's like, if hundreds of other companies can succeed on the same thing you're doing, there's literally zero excuse like why you can't do it. There's no excuse. If another human being can create a successful company in the same industry, like why can't you? And there's a lot of them. It's like there's no reason, no excuse why you can't.
Mm-hmm. I guess someone's objection could just be a confidence thing. Like, oh, but that person's this, that person's that. I'm not this, I'm not that. But you're right. A human being's a human being.
Yeah. So that's how I see it.
Okay. Awesome, man. So what's next for Kosta? You're going to build this company, buying properties, keep funding that policy.
Yeah. Just got this job table launching this summer. That video content series I talked about, Hard Knock SAAS, I put that out a few months ago.
Okay. Where can people find that?
hardknocksaas.com.
Okay.
Do my mentoring, do my podcast, real estate.
So Growth Mentor, if someone searches up Kosta, Panagoulias.
I'll send you a link.
Okay, sure. Yeah, we'll put all this in the show notes.
Yeah.
We'll link to these things.
Yeah.
Exciting times. You got a lot going on. You're very chill and like, I'm doing this, and this, whatever.
Yeah, well, I don't know. Personality.
It's cool, man.
It's a game, right? Business, I think, is a game, and you just you keep going, right?
I can see you as being a guy who doesn't get too high with the highs, doesn't get too low with the lows.
Yeah, I think that's accurate.
Yeah, you're just like, like things are shit this month. Well, whatever, they'll get better. Things are, I sold my company. All right.
I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
No, I actually think it's a good thing, because I'm probably a bit manic. I'm probably more of the up and down guy, and I think have enough life experience to know that there's going to be highs, there's going to be lows. Just be stoic about it. Yeah. Just be smooth and steady, and just stick to the course. There's going to be all these ups and downs, but just keep the end.
It's a marathon,
It's a marathon. It's not a sprint.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you got to balance your emotions.
It's true. I see too many people, they want to get to the finish line without running the race.
Yeah.
That's a big problem. But yeah, it's a marathon and you keep going, right?
Yeah, you can just tell you're in it for the long term with everything you do. You're not thinking short term. Yeah. Where does that come from?
I don't know. I honestly don't know. I think this is just a personality trait that I've always had. I think I'm an old soul. I don't know if you heard like this. Like I think I feel like I've been around the block more than the average person, if that makes sense. I don't know. It's just a personality trait.
Mm-hmm. Do you think that has to do with maybe your culture or a Greek culture?
I don't know. Not really. Because I have some family members who are pretty wild and different. So I don't know.
Yeah. Well, it's working for you, man. And once you know what works for you and your personality type, I think doubling down and just being true to yourself is the best.
Yeah. Self-awareness, I think, is very key.
Self-aware of who you are.
Yeah.
And what you can do.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. Well, thanks, Kosta. Thanks for coming on the show, man.
Yeah, glad appreciate to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, totally. Appreciate it. Founderviews.com to check out your thing.
Yeah.
What do you want to leave people with?
I mean, Hard Knock SAAS is the video content series. Find me on social media. I'm usually on like Instagram or Twitter.
Yeah, you got some great tips on your Twitter and stuff for entrepreneurs.
Yeah. So that's where you can find me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And the YouTube channel, Founder Views.
Okay, so we'll put this stuff in the show notes. And it was a pleasure getting to know you a bit better, man. And
likewise.
Let's keep this journey going.
Right. Sounds good.
Awesome. Thanks, man.
Hey, thanks for tuning in. You can find every new episode of the Your Life, Your Term show on all the major streaming platforms. So Spotify, iTunes, Google Play. And if you'd like to get free copies of some of the books that we've put together, like these right here, or some of the reports that we've put together, like these right here, you can find all of those at www.rockstarinnercircle.com. That's www.rockstarinnercircle.com. That's it for now. Until next time, your life, your terms.